2,000 years ago, an elite network of runners sprinted down the Apennine Mountains, desperately trying to deliver a perishable cargo before the heat destroyed it. The man demanding this exhausting logistical feat was Emperor Nero. He required fresh mountain snow so his chefs could blend it with honey and fruit. In the pre-electric world, ice in midsummer served as a primary metric of sovereign power. The ancient Persians tackled the heat with engineering rather than human endurance. They built massive, domed underground yakhchals to store winter ice into the summer. Holding a bowl of shaved ice and fruit meant you had the resources to bend nature, time, and human labor to your will. In China, during the Tang and Han dynasties, chefs began introducing dairy into the freezing process. They boiled othalo milk, flavored it with camphor, a fragrant botanical extract, and buried the metal tubes in glacial pools. To speed up the freezing, Chinese innovators surrounded these containers with a mix of snow and saltpeter, a potassium compound that rapidly dropped the temperature. For millennia, securing a frozen treat required commanding an army to move snow or mastering early chemical reactions. The dessert remained locked safely behind palace doors. That exclusivity cracked during the Renaissance. In Florence, an inventor named Bernardo Buontalenti combined milk, eggs, and sugar for the wealthy Medici family, utilizing a specific chemical shortcut. Mixing heavy salt into ice lowers the freezing point, creating an endothermic effect. The melting salt water violently draws heat from the inner container. As heat escapes, the cream's temperature plunges, crystallizing into a smooth paste, the first modern gelato. When Catherine de' Medici married into the French royal family, she brought this secret with her, using the rare dessert to flaunt her elite status. The recipe finally breached the palace walls in 1686, when Francesco Procopi opened Café Procope in Paris and began selling gelato directly to the public. Even though the secret was out, producing it was grueling. The extreme physical labor required to constantly churn a freezing liquid kept ice cream restricted to the absolute highest tiers of society. When ice cream crossed the Atlantic, it captivated America's political elite. In the summer of 1790 alone, George Washington spent the modern equivalent of thousands of dollars satisfying his craving for the dessert. At Thomas Jefferson's Monticello estate, the responsibility of actually producing French-style vanilla ice cream fell entirely on an enslaved chef named James Hemings. Without any mechanical assistance, making a single batch meant aggressively hand-stirring a thick custard inside a heavy tub of salted ice for hours on end, fighting the freezing resistance of the cream every step of the way. This early Atlantic expansion offered the illusion of access, but the entire physical process rested on the hidden exhaustion of enslaved and servant labor. The barrier of extreme labor fell in 1843, when an American inventor named Nancy Johnson patented the hand-cranked ice cream machine. She built a central paddle connected to a simple gear ratio. Instead of hours of agonizing stirring, anyone could turn a crank for a few minutes and smoothly scrape the freezing cream away from the chilling walls. This invention arrived perfectly timed with the rise of massive commercial ice harvesting ships, cutting huge blocks of ice from frozen rivers and distributing them widely. Johnson's mechanics, paired with the new abundance of ice, dismantled the logistical barriers that had kept the dessert exclusive for centuries. Commercial factories quickly scaled the process. Prices dropped drastically, and soon street vendors were scooping cheap ice cream from carts for the working class. By the early 20th century, bustling soda fountains had turned the frozen dessert into an everyday communal experience. The modern, affordable scoop represents the final victory of engineering over nature, the culmination of a 2,000-year evolution from an imperial secret to a global standard.
Subscribe to us for more such videos.